I never imagined my marriage would begin to feel like a steady rhythm of rejection. When Melissa and I first met, everything between us felt alive. Passion, laughter, a spark that made me believe we'd always crave each other's presence. We stayed up late sharing dreams, whispering plans, and holding one another close in ways that made the world outside disappear. But somewhere along the line, things shifted, slowly at first, so slowly I convinced myself it was nothing. A headache one night, a long day at work the next, the occasional, "I'm too tired tonight." I told myself every couple goes through phases. I tried to be patient. Then the pattern hardened. The warmth between us wasn't just fading. It was slipping away entirely. Every time I reached for her hand, tried to kiss her, or simply held out my arms at night, she would pull away. Sometimes she muttered an excuse. Sometimes she sighed. Sometimes she said nothing at all and simply rolled over, her back turned to me. The sting built quietly, like a wound hidden under clothing. I kept telling myself she was stressed, that this would pass. But weeks became months, and her rejections began to feel less like moments and more like walls going up brick by brick, shutting me out. Each brick chipped at my confidence. I started wondering if I'd lost something. Was I no longer attractive to her? Was something wrong with me? Or worse, was she giving to someone else what she was withholding from me? But the worst part wasn't the lack of intimacy itself. It was a feeling of becoming invisible in my own marriage. I was still her husband, still there, still trying. But every time I reached for her, the message came back clear. My needs didn't matter, that I didn't matter. Eventually, I stopped asking. Not because I didn't want her anymore, but because I couldn't keep her to myself by hoping. And then came the irony. The same woman who turned away from me night after night never hesitated to ask for favors. Small things at first. Could you pick up groceries on your way home? Could you fix the sink? Could you handle this bill? And like always, I said yes. But somewhere inside, something started to harden. I began to see the imbalance clearly. Her needs were always prioritized, but mine were left in the shadows. She had no trouble taking from me, but gave nothing back. That realization planted a quiet rebellion in me. The first time I said no, it slipped out almost by accident. She asked me to run an errand after a long day at work. Normally, I would have forced a smile and agreed. That night, I just said, "I'm tired," and went to bed. The look on her face told me she wasn't used to hearing me refuse. That small moment changed everything. For once, I wasn't bending. I wasn't a dependable husband who sacrificed himself just to keep the peace. And it felt strangely liberating. Over the following weeks, I began to mirror back the same treatment I had endured for years. She'd ask for help with the laundry. Not tonight. I'd say without looking up. She'd ask me to grab dinner. Didn't have time. I'd reply, even though I'd passed 3 restaurants on my drive home. I wasn't doing it to be cruel. I wasn't trying to punish her. But for the first time in a long time, I was showing her what it felt like to be dismissed, to have your needs treated as an afterthought. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe she thought it was a phase, that I returned to my old pattern of always saying yes. But as days became weeks, her tone began to change. She started asking questions. "You never used to say no. What's going on with you?" I looked at her, and for a moment, all the years of rejection flashed through my mind. The nights I lay awake wondering what I'd done wrong. The times I held back tears because I didn't want to seem weak. The countless moments when all I wanted was to feel close to my wife, but was met with coldness. "What's going on with me?" I repeated. "Melissa, what's been going on with us?" For years, every time I try to be close to you, you shut me out. And now you're surprised when I don't jump at every request you make. She froze, as if I'd held up a mirror she wasn't ready to look into. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't angry. I was just stating the truth. And sometimes the truth cuts deeper than any accusation. In the days that followed, she grew quieter. I could tell she was thinking, maybe regretting. But I didn't know whether it was regret for how she had treated me or frustration that I no longer played the role she expected. Something inside me had shifted permanently. I realized intimacy and respect are bound together far more tightly than most people realize. When one partner consistently rejects the other, it doesn't just kill physical closeness. It erodes the entire foundation of the marriage. Saying no to her wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming a part of myself I'd allowed to disappear. I'd been giving endlessly, asking for nothing, and receiving rejection in return. I was done pleading, done chasing, done begging for scraps of affection. I didn't know what the future would look like. Maybe Melissa would finally understand the damage she'd done. Maybe she wouldn't. But for the first time in years, I felt clear. If she wanted my effort, my help, my attention, she needed to remember that I, too, deserved to be wanted, to be seen, to be loved. Marriage cannot survive on one person always giving and the other always taking. It's built on balance, on respect, on mutual desire. Until she chose to see that I was no longer going to carry the weight of both sides. For once, I wasn't the man begging for closeness. I was the man who had finally remembered his worth.